You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
All right, happy Thanksgiving. It's Monday. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, the Monday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365 as we get set for Easton Cowan's NHL debut this afternoon, a matinee affair on Thanksgiving. How was your weekend, Rosie?
On the top line, no less. Mine's been good, yeah. Thanksgiving dinner today. Gonna watch some Jays, watch some Leafs. It should be a good little Monday, actually, but kind of disappointing for the Toronto teams the last couple of days. So hopefully a big bounce back today to finish off the weekend is the plan.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays got a case and dose of a humble pie yesterday against the Seattle Mariners, and that should be intriguing to see Game 2 coming up this afternoon. Toronto's packed, it's rammed, it's ready to go. You got the matinee affair, you got Game 2. But off the top, I wanted to ask you about a contract that just went down. Lane Hutson, 8 times 8.85. And all I could think about was Kyle Dubas on Thanksgiving, if you can believe it. Like, it's another shrewd piece of business by Montreal. And this has been a theme for X amount of years. In fact, I did the math. That's $32.175 million over the next couple of years, tied up to 4 players, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Hudson. I am pissed about this.
Yeah, the arch nemesis of our Maple Leafs. My goodness, that's gonna keep looking better and better. I mean, $7-8 million. He's a high end player, and there's high end players getting 12, 13, 17, 18, 20. Watch guys start breaking the 20 mark in the years to come, and to be at 8 point something is going to be hilarious. And I already thought that the Montreal Canadiens are going to be a problem in the near future, like sooner than later. And this only guarantees that with the cap going to be where it is, they can continue to load up as these guys develop and get better and better. So all the more reason for the Leafs to make hay while the sun shines here and do some damage while they're in their prime, because there's other teams coming, man. There's the Sens are coming. Certainly the Montreal Canadiens are coming. This division is going to keep getting stronger. Who knows what the top teams are going to do as it exists. So yeah, make hay while the sun shines, boys.
I know everybody's going to talk about Connor McDavid today regarding this contract, but let's not forget John Tavares crawled so everybody can walk. Okay, he took $4.38 million per season, was a major discount. McDavid takes a discount now. A guy like Hudson takes a discount, but I could only wonder, a couple things. Is this a chain reaction thing, or is this a one-off? Because I just talked about it. It seems like everybody in Montreal takes a haircut. And number 2, do you think as time goes on, players in Minnesota might start eyeballing Kirill Kaprizov a bit more in that room?
I don't know. It's kind of surprising all these guys taking haircuts. It seems like that wasn't really the thing to do in the past, and kind of rightfully so. It's just the game you play. You play as hard as you can. You make the money that you feel like you're worth, and the agents are always pushing for that. The PA is obviously pushing for that, and other players around the league are wanting salaries to go up. So to take these haircuts, it's interesting. Guys want to win, and it's still a lot of money, but money doesn't go as far as it used to. You look at, doesn't matter if you make $10 million or $100,000 or $50,000. Your money doesn't go as far as it used to. $10 million used to be like jets and mansions and all that shit. It's just not anymore. And it's kind of surprising to see some of these guys, taking what looks to be a bit of a haircut. But again, winning solves all problems, and these guys want to win a Stanley Cup and help their team, and they feel like the number's fair. And it seems like there is a little bit of a theme of guys taking a little bit less than you thought they were worth, and you kind of raise your eyebrows at that.
Can't forget Matthew Nyes. I mean, I think we all agreed his contract was really, really sexy as well. Don't forget the cap going up. Who knows? Maybe Austin Matthews' next contract takes $11 million or just his current contract and moves on with life. But very doubtful on that front. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. I'd even ask you, how'd the kids tournament go over the weekend?
It wasn't bad. We didn't win anything, but starting to play some good hockey, man. It's fun coaching that. It's funny, some of the same mistakes that I feel like the Maple Leafs are making in their games are the mistakes that we make here. And we're kind of focusing on, we got to use the walls and kick it wide. And these kids at this age, they they still have habits of skating right towards the defender and then trying to slide the puck through the feet, and it just doesn't work anymore at a double A level. And when kids are getting better and defensemen are understanding their position, and it's just bang your head against the wall. Why are we doing that? It's just turnover city at the blue line. So, but then you see the page start to turn, and they're using their teammates, supporting the puck, chipping it and getting it deep and getting it back. And it's a lot of fun when they start putting the pieces together. So definitely a fun age.
Speaking of fun, I don't know if you had a chance to catch this over the weekend. You see Ryan Reaves' tuck against the Anaheim Ducks. Where did this come from, man? Like, he had a great tilt in that game too, but like, let's remind everybody, he did not score as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Goes to San Jose, like what, game 2? And he scores nasty stuff.
He didn't score once in his tenure with the Leafs.
No, look at this.
Jesus.
Starts in his in the Z zone too.
Well, the biggest thing there is getting your shoulder behind that D-man in front of him and pushing him to the pushing him behind you. It's impressive. Right here, he beats him, gets his shoulder on the other side, and I'm taking this to the net. I just don't understand how you score from that angle. I never could. No, but good for him, man. A good start, obviously. I didn't know he dusted in that game either. I'll have to go check that scrap out. But by all accounts, living in California is doing Revo right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and had a really, really spirited scrap in that game. Ross Johnston was the opposition, who's a pretty good fighter himself, former New York Islander, now with the Anaheim Ducks. But obviously, we're getting set this afternoon. We've been talking about this for a week. Easton Cowan slated to make his NHL debut. What do you expect from Cowboy?
I mean, I expect energy. I expect jump, some tenacity. Again, I just have been... I've been disappointed with the Leafs and what they've brought to the table when they should be chomping at the bit for a brand new season. And maybe it's, you got to start crawling and then before you can walk, before you can run and whatever. But to me, just the effort and the intensity level, I just don't see any reason for it not to be there. And I think that a kid like that who plays that way in the first place, but obviously is going to be super excited, to get his first game under his belt, especially when the team's struggling and they need to inject some confidence in some way, shape, or form. It's exciting. Having him on the top line is a bit of an eyebrow raiser. I understand it. I get it. I'm excited for it, but I can't say that I think that's the long-term solution for some of the wobbles that the Leafs have had coming out of the gate here.
I don't want to sell Revo short, by the way, as Zach alluded to. I meant last season, but he did score 4 goals as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs 2 years ago, but last season he did not score a goal for the Maple Leafs. But yeah, I tend to agree. I think weirdly this is a move of desperation, it feels like. Not to get Cowan in there, Rosie, but to put him with the big boys on the top line, game 3 of the season. You're telling me you don't have a fucking answer right now.
Kinda, right? It's a bit of a message sent. Obviously, Chief's not happy with the way these guys are playing. You can tell by his comments and just by watching the game. They're just, this isn't what he wants. This isn't what he expects. And they need better. So to put in the kid and, there's a couple different guys that could be up on that top line. Nothing is written in stone coming out of camp. So to put him in there with 0 experience is kind of a bit of an FU to the rest of the guys. Like, you guys don't want to do what, it needs to be done, then screw you. You can play on the lower minute lines and we'll get this kid up here and see if he has any jam and some energy to bring to the table and is willing to do what needs to be done to have success. And sometimes I think on the top lines there with those guys, it's, those skill players tend to just go, hey, listen, I'm going to wait for my opportunities and, watch the game and then read it and then jump on it and take advantage of the opportunities. And on the flip side, a coach will be like, dude, you got to make your own opportunities. You got to force things to happen. You got to be the reason that, pucks come to certain places and you have to force it. And, a guy like Willie Nylander, I know he's not on the top line, but, the top 6, sometimes those types of players fall victim to that of just puck watching and waiting for opportunities and think they're just going to jump on a puck and bury. And sometimes they do that. So you get where they come from. But, when the team's struggling and you're off on the wrong foot, you need to work your way out of these problems. And I think Chief probably obviously thinks that that hasn't been happening. And here comes a young kid who's going to be working his bag off, getting a huge opportunity.
I think it's interesting how they go all the narrative all camp long and last week, fourth line. All of a sudden he's on the top line. Again, it just screams desperation to me, but I understand it. Like, the first game hit, I think, is real. You look around the NHL over X amount of years, first games are good to kids. And I wonder if Cowan, I don't even wonder, he's going to be fired up, family and friends in the crowd, lifelong Leaf fan. So maybe you're playing that sort of bump, and it just tells me you got to find a way to get Nyes and Matthews going. And this extends to Nylander. You got Michelli on line too here. Like, these guys are just not playing right now. It's frustrating Zach Phillips. It's frustrating Leafs Nation, frustrating everybody. They got to start showing something here, Rosie.
Yeah, and it seems like they've played a lot more hockey than just the 2 games that they have. You got to keep in perspective, this is 2 games, and to a player, those come and go so quickly that, to hear a bunch of panic and all the breakdowns and everyone's freaking out and desperation, this and that, they're in the room, they're going, settle down, mentally you go up 2 quick ones on the road there. And unfortunately, it's easy to take your foot off the gas a little bit. But what pissed me off is how much they rely on Anthony Stolarz. Like, what would if you didn't have goalies, which they haven't had in the past, what are they saying about this team then? Like, they would be getting absolutely shelled because he's making some big saves on some big opportunities that they're giving up. And whether it's puck watching or losing your man or blowing the zone or getting caught 3 men low or no back check or bad angles, they're letting their goalie get peppered. And considering he's that last line of defense with no Joseph Wall, I just think that's stupid as hell. They should be doing everything they can to protect the middle of the ice and insulate Anthony Stolarz, and they're not doing that at all. And again, a loss is kind of annoying, but without Stoley making some big saves too, like, that number could be embarrassing, and then you got problems. So hopefully they rectify it now. And again, it's only 2 games in, and a team like this could fix it in a hurry, and it would just be all for naught, right? All the negativity and breaking it down. But it is what it is. We have to go what we have to go off of, and it hasn't looked that great, and changes need to be made for sure. And maybe it is as simple, as Cowan injecting some life into this thing, and they get some good juju, and the dust will settle. But it still pisses me off losing Lawton because I feel like the lineup could be nice and solid with him in there and maybe Cowan beside him. But things are just kind of up in the air right now with the simple removal of 1 4th-line center. It's kind of crazy.
It's pretty nuts. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. So as mentioned, coming up today, later on today after Leafs Red Wings, don't forget to tune into the Leafs Nation After Dark with Zach Phillips. And speaking of Zach, in support of Sick Kids, he sends a super chat right here. Long-time listener, first-time super chatter. Do you guys think Berube was holding Cowan as a break glass in case of emergency peace if they started slow, which they did? What is your response to that, Rosie?
Interesting theory, Zach. Quite possible, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I didn't know why they weren't using him a little bit earlier. Like, we were talking about, there's no use for a kid of that age with his experience to be sitting in the press box, that's for sure. But again, it's only two games. It seems like it's a lot more for some reason, but it's not. It is, especially with the and they're 1-1. Like, man, people are kind of freaking a little bit, right?
Overreaction, man. It's crazy.
Settle
2 fucking
down.
games. They've won one of them.
I know, and it's they're acting like they're 0-4. That's kind of the response, but that is Toronto, and expectations are high, and you do start to get in your head like, what happens if we don't win this year or next year? Like, then things start to fall apart, and then the Canadians that we're talking about are really not nipping at your heels. But are they going to overtake you? Are they going to be better than you? Are they going to be a problem in the playoffs? Like, all of a sudden your window closes. So it is interesting. I don't know if the Cowan thing is a emergency measures, but I think when you're a coach and you're kind of pissed off at what you see, like, you can handle losing games and getting used to systems and players and chemistry, but when it's the flat out, the simple stuff isn't there. Like I said, some of the problems they're having are the same shit I have with my Pee-wee team. Like, let's get serious, right? This is the National League. That would really piss Craig Berube off, and I think it would lead to a move like this. Like, you don't want to work? We'll get some friggin' 20-year-old in here who will work and take your goddamn job, because it sounds like none of you want to take what's in front of you and the opportunities to play on that top line. So screw you. You can go down to the XYZ line, and we'll get the kid in here, because I know that he's going to have some jam tonight. And it's kind of one of those, I think, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. But hopefully it smartens them up a little bit, because the bad mistakes and the simple effort mistakes, there's just no reason for it. And maybe these guys are, like we get sometimes, you know what, it's game 2. We're thinking about April. We want our ducks in a row in the postseason. That's all fine and dandy, but you got to get through the season and play good hockey to even get there at the end of the road. So a little of this, a little of that. But again, I think Zach's right. This is trying to inject some whammy into the lineup with this kid going to be all hot and horny.
You bet your ass it's a message. And I think you're so right with that breakdown because anybody would want that garden seat with Nyes and Matthews in that top line. And nobody seems to have rise to the occasion so far, whether it's Michelli, McMahon, Domi. So, like, why not? Let's put this kid in. Let's see what he's got. And we're all looking forward to this debut here for Easton Cowan this afternoon at Scotiabank Arena. Don't forget the start time, 2 Eastern start time. As opposed to, I think it was 4, but the Blue Jays game mixed that up, and kudos to the Maple Leafs for switching it up. So looking forward to that one this afternoon. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. We see this a lot most years, but it's been an especially slow start, like one that you do not want to see from the big boys, considering everything that happened this summer, considering what happened in Game 5, Game 7. I can keep going. And it's just been so lackadaisical. Like I was telling the boys at Beer League yesterday, like it's the quietest 4 points to start in 2 games for Willie Nylander I've ever seen in my life. He has done absolutely nothing in my eyes compared to his contract and what he can do. Like it's been a very, very quiet start for him. Ditto for Austin Matthews. I know Matthews had 6 shots on goal, but just doesn't look the same guy so far.
Yeah, Willie's that guy where, when he's dogging it, he looks like shit, and it stands out so bad. Like, yeah, like just standing up, gliding, and just looking at where you need to be and just choosing not to go there. Like, it's just a bad look, but he's the type of player where, like you say, he's going to get on the score sheet. And some of those are those empty netters and those chiselly nothing points that look good on the score sheet, but don't tell any story about how effective you were that night. But they do have to be better, no question about it. And there's no excuse for it. It's got nothing to do with Marner. It's got nothing to do with anything, but I don't know. It would be fun to get in their heads and see what they really think about it. I don't think they're really worried or panicked, and they probably chuckle to themselves when they get on the score sheet when maybe they shouldn't have, because at the end of the day, that's all you really look at when you're talking contracts and success and trophies and all that shit. But they want to be leaders of that team, especially Matthews. And I think that they will come on strong and they will get hot, and they might go a little bit of ups and downs and ride the waves a little bit. And obviously fans want to see it just consistently unreal, which isn't really that those expectations aren't really that possible to be at all the time. So I don't know. I don't want to ride on the players too much, but yeah, for the players of their caliber, you'd like to see them doing a little bit more. And again, I think the piss off is where it's like the effort or the give a shit meter, especially with Willie, when it looks low, it looks like sin. And it's not the first time he's done that. There's a couple of famous clips of him, absolutely getting his doors blown off into corners and choosing to just let the guy take it. And it's not a great look. And I know he's pretty laid back and pretty chill, and I think that serves him quite well in this market. But Berube's not going to put up with it very long, and I hope that they start climbing the right direction instead of sliding the wrong one, because once you start getting that animosity amongst the players and the coach and stuff, nobody wants that. And again, I'm not saying that's where they're going. It's 2 games. I really expect them to pick it up.
Spike 11 writes in, this team traditionally wakes up in November. That is a valid point, but it's still not great to talk about and watch, certainly on the TV. And even watching the game the other night, the other word I picked up from your breakdown there was consistency. Like I felt like the first 10 minutes or so of that game, the Leafs demonstrated what they can do long term, right? They're just controlling the puck in deep, direct, very linear with their play. Everything Craig Berube wanted to see. And for some reason, they got complacent. They got up 2-0, and Detroit started cooking. And that was my concern. If you recall on Friday, I'm like, I think Detroit's going to be a horny team after they were embarrassed in their season opener on home ice against the Montreal Canadiens. And we saw the desperation the Leafs just didn't have. I mean, you look at the big boys of Detroit. I thought Patty Kane was outstanding. I thought DeBrincat was good. I thought Raymond was good. I thought Seider was good. Like, Toronto's big boys didn't match Detroit's. And that was the difference in the game, I felt.
No, and that's a good point. They're going to be horned up, being at home and needing to get on the board. So it's almost like the worst thing you could do is go up to rip kind of quickly, because the Leafs are just simply going to go, all right, good. We've done our job. We're on the board. Like, I mean, what are the percentage chances of losing when you're up 2 rip against Detroit? not that much. So mentally, they're probably going to go, all right, is this point night, or how nice the plays can we make? And can I get my cookies? Meanwhile, on the other side of it, the Red Wings are going, are you effing kidding me? Like, they're going to really dig their heels in, grit and bear, and they're all going to come together and throw everything they can to make sure it's not a disastrous start to the season. Exactly what they did. And, unfortunately, it's the NHL. Like, the Leafs are not good enough to lose control of a game after dicking around the way they were and then just be like, oh, I'll just grab control of this again. Like, it gets away from you and you lose control of it. And, what they responded with isn't good enough to get back in the game. Obviously, the final score looks a lot worse with 2 empty netters, but it's the NHL, man. You have to have that killer instinct. You have to have the character to step on the guys' throats when they're down and not let them back up. But it's funny, mentally, as a team collectively, you subconsciously let off the pedal a little bit, and guy beside me will do it. Guy beside me will do it. But everyone kind of does that, and the team on the other side is full throttle. It's just a recipe to give that lead away, and the Leafs are kind of famous for it. I think maybe it's just because we look so closely and analyze every single bloody game. But that if they let off the gas when they're up a couple, a team's going to come storming back and make kind of one of those embarrassing losses, which it kind of was, because they had no reason, no business losing that game being up 2-0.
I love this. We have reach across the world. Fabrizio writes in, let's go, Buds. Finally a game at 8 p.m. here in Italy.
Fabrizio! I'm going to go there next week, dude. I haven't really said that. I'm kind of embarrassed going this time of the year, but vacation time is vacation time. My family and all the rest of it, we're going to go over to Italy next week, and I'll be doing the shows still. Don't worry about it, but maybe I'll bump into Fabrizio. He can show me some local goodness over there. But that's awesome that guys in Italy are watching. I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah, coming soon on Leafs Morning Take, Rosie eating a cannoli live on air. That's coming up as early as Thursday. Devlin Foyston, thank you so much for the super chat. I say, if this is a lack of effort continues, there'll be trades made. I don't want to go scorched earth 2 games into this season. Bottom line, I expect a monster effort this afternoon. Easton Cowan making his debut. Another positive point, I thought Stolarz was fantastic. Like, that game was much closer probably than 6-3 would tell you. It's, the empty net game again, similar to the Maple Leafs opener against the Montreal Canadiens. But this is a really positive development considering everything we know about the crease right now here in Toronto. Stolarz was awesome, dude.
Frick, he's just fast for how big he is. Like, he's a blocking goaltender, but his reaction on rebound like this, I thought it was the same clip over again. Like, his reactions to quickly, grab something with his foot, grab something with his hands, snap it around, get across crease, or those reaction saves. Some goalies are pretty big blockers, and when it gets out of their reach, it's kind of like, oh shit, well, I'm not there. But Stolarz can get there and make those reactive saves for a big body, which is all the more impressive. And I love seeing him play well, but I hate seeing him get peppered because, it's one of those reactions to get to the back door and tweak goes your groin. Like, it's just not, things aren't going to be okay if he goes down. Joseph Woll, there is no sight. There's no light at the end of the tunnel as far as we have heard or can see with him. So Stolarz all we have. And you rely on him too much and overwork him and getting him stressing and straining himself. Bad idea, man. Like, I would do everything to insulate him. And I think the D need to be better and more aware, and the forwards need to pick up in the D zone and protect the middle a little bit better. And, maybe we can talk about Simon Benoit. Like, I am a Benoit fan. I like that guy. I like him. I think he's going to be useful in the playoffs. Absolutely. But he struggled a little bit, and it's kind of shitty because him playing is kind of the reason OEL is on his offside. And, as a defenseman, making plays and passes and protecting the puck and having your stick in lanes, playing on your offside, it can be difficult. And I don't think he's as good on the right side as he is on the left. And again, the only reason he's there is because of Benoit, where Philippe Myers comes in. All of a sudden, OEL is back on the left side where he should be. So I don't know if he needs to take a break or not, but I don't like the pattern or the theme because I like Benoit. And I think when it matters in the playoffs, you're going to want him in there. He plays a heavier brand of hockey, and he's kind of fearless, and he'll be the guy to block that shot or go flying into the scrum or make that hit or clear the front of the net. I like him, but I'm just saying maybe if they are slumping or need a little change of scenery, getting OEL on his right side to maybe get some confidence and get the season off on the right way, it might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, Benoit, he looks at me as a guy, or I look at him right now as a guy who missed the majority of training camp and he's playing catch up. If you recall, he played the Thursday, he played the Saturday. Those were his 2 preseason games, and he's not up to speed yet. And speed's not his game to begin with, right? So I think he's been chasing it the first couple games. I wouldn't be shocked in the next couple games that we see Phil Myers get a look. I mean, you don't want to get your guys iced early on in the year. And I think it could be a pretty good reset for Benoit. But you can't just zone in on him. I agree with you, though. I don't think he's been great. But collectively, as a back end, defensively, there's been a lot of fleas. I just think the gap control, the amount of space they're giving the opponent in the O-zone, they're just getting worked right now. And it happened against the Montreal Canadiens, too. I thought they got lucky to win that game. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of people the last couple of days, use the excuse or the conversation about Anthony Stolarz, being the only reason. Well, like last time I checked, the goalie's part of the team, right? Like this is why you pay a goalie. And I think it's just new territory for Leafs Nation to have a guy you can count on to make saves too, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you need a goalie to win games, but I know where people are coming from when they say that. Like, as I mentioned, if you don't have Stoli, more or less standing on his head, right, with some of the breakdowns, and
he's been great.
Like if his save percentage, I don't even know what it was that game, but if it's 3%, 4% less, like you just got embarrassed. Like you're getting shelled, and there was all kinds of opportunities that you gave the Red Wings for yourself to get embarrassed, but it didn't look that embarrassing because Stoli was there. And I agree with what they're saying. Like, you can't rely on that. And yeah, you need a goalie to play good. And when they do, you can't say, oh, your team was shit because your goalie played good. I'm not going that far, but I get where they're coming from, man. You don't want that to be a theme and a pattern, not just for Stoli getting hurt, but just for like, why are you relying on him that hard? How are you giving teams that many looks? And when you watch the game, you're seeing there, it's puck watching, like Pee-wee shit, right? Like everyone's staring at the puck in the corner. Meanwhile, but he comes back door and he's perfect lane and bang. And Patrick Kane, like that was a bad one. And the Larkin or whatever, that back door. Like, it's just like, guys, are you picking fucking guys up or what? This is the NHL. You're a defenseman in the NHL. You've been doing this your whole life. You're incredibly good at it. How are you in this pee-wee zone of just like staring at the puck watching? You got to have your head on a swivel, pick up sticks, get bodies, get in lanes. And they just didn't have that, that game. Again, one game, game two, took your foot off the gas when you went up 2-0. Understandable. Need a big bounce back here today.
Yeah, a couple guys in preseason mode for sure. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Nicolas Waugh, I think pretty small sample size so far, but I think he's shown his ability and what he can bring to the table that's different for this Maple Leafs team. I thought he had a really good start to that game, was all over the play, led to the Yarncroke goal, then scores a goal of his own, 1-1. But that's exactly the type of complementary scoring you need. You need guys like Nicolas Waugh to score on a pretty routine basis if you want to be a juggernaut. Like, it's always great to help the big boys out. So every time, in general, the Leafs get a depth goal, like even Max Domi, I know it's 2 games. You can preface everything you say this time of year, but the shot first mentality, I'm loving it. Like on a 3-on-1, 2-on-1, he's looking shot. And it's great to see Max Domi score this early in a season too.
Yeah. And I think that's something he's consciously aware of and has been working on mentally.
Yeah.
Like, I got to pull the trigger. Sometimes I think he's said it out loud. I think Berube has told him that before. People on the panels and all the rest of it have said it, but he's, it kind of reminds me of Huberdeau at times in Calgary, where yeah, you're a playmaker and stuff, but God, like, you got to understand when you get the opportunity and in the right spots, you got to pull the trigger and try to score the goal yourself too. And like Huberdeau, oftentimes he'll make that pass when you're like, oh my God, you did all that work for that exact moment of pulling the trigger when you get the scoring opportunity, and you try to make another pass. And obviously that looks terrible when it doesn't work out. But Domi definitely can pull the trigger and shoot himself a little bit more. And you saw him do it yesterday, which is or the day before, which is great. And, you're getting that secondary scoring. Started off with some scoring from the back end. That is huge. And I don't think that can be understated, because I think the problem would be bigger if the only goals we were getting were from the Matthews and the big boys and, everything. And then we're still in this position. It's going, well, what the hell else can we do? Because they can't score twice as much. You need some from the back end and from the depth, and that's harder to get. So the fact that we have it is absolutely a positive, and it's something that I know people aren't thrilled with that loss in Detroit, but the fact that we are getting the depth from the guys like Yarncroke and Waugh and Domi and Morgan Riley on the back end, that's huge, because Austin Matthews isn't going to be quiet. for very long, and Nyes is going to wake up and Willie's going to do Willie things. So I think it's a good sign, and I would look for, the big boys to wake up here hopefully this afternoon. And again, having that depth scoring is huge, because that's exactly why you got like a Nicholas Waugh, is to go into the playoffs and get that kind of play from him, where it's like, those games 5s and 6s and 7s, like when you're just dying for every inch out there, you get a big goal from a guy like that. It's what puts you over the top, unfortunately, and you can't really manufacture that. So I think he'll be an asset for sure. And I think if you want to look on the positives, getting that depth scoring is a nice thing for the Maple Leafs.
So I ask you, Jay Rosehill, how do you tighten things up? Some of my notes from that game: sloppy, bad zone exits, long shifts. We saw that a couple times where they're hemmed in their own zone. You got to give Detroit credit, but I think the Leafs were puck watching, as you referenced earlier on. Bad coverage, and then Craig Berube after the game, we beat ourselves, and I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I think it's a commitment thing. Like, I'm not putting words in their mouth, but like sometimes you kind of think you might be better than you are, and you can, if it takes 8 hard strides to get to that man to get your stick on the puck, and you only take 6, well, guess what? You're going to be back checking, and you're not going to turn the pucks over that you need to, and you're not going to swarm your opponent and make them make bad plays. It's just a commitment to playing the right way, and oftentimes, especially in Craig Berube's style, that burns your legs up and that gets your lungs going, and it's difficult. It's just hard work, and it takes hard work to play the right way. And if everyone isn't on the same page, it's going to start to look shitty, and you're going to be watching pucks, and you're going to be in the wrong spot, and there's going to be odd man rushes, and you're not going to be playing in the offensive zone. So to me, it's just a simple commitment to playing the right way, which Craig Berube says all the time. And that is doing exactly that, like going the extra mile and taking those last 2 strides. And, it's hard to do it. And a lot of times skilled players like a Willie Nylander, like, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but I also do it this way, and everyone has their leash and has their, ability to get away with it. But when everyone is kind of on that page, it's just not good enough. And I think from Craig Berube's point of view, they need to have a commitment to playing the way that he's expressing they need to play. And they know that they're in the NHL for a reason. It's hard to get all 20 guys on the same page sometimes. And, if the timing's wrong and you all kind of take a mental day once in a while for a game, you're going to blow leads, and it's going to look a little bit ugly. So I'd look for them to get back on the right page right now. It's not fun playing for Chief when you're playing the wrong way. He's pissed off, and everyone gets pissed off, and nobody likes losing. You like winning. So I would look to, have Cowan inject some intensity into the lineup here, and some of the big boys like Nyes and Matthews to have a little wakey as well.
The thing that pisses people off is how they lose, right? If it was a competitive game and, they gave it their all and they worked their tails off, and you just tip your cap to the opponent, but you couldn't do that on Saturday night. And it's unfortunately a theme for this team, not just the last couple of years here under Berube, but the last 10 years. And honestly, I sympathize with Leafs Nation, because that's what pisses people off. When you watch this team, you look at how much star power and talent they have, and then they put forth an effort like that. You're like, come on, man. Like, we know you guys can play better than that. But as you referenced and talked about, you played in this league. You're going to have nights like that. I think it's just unfortunate it comes in game 2 of the season against an inferior opponent like Detroit. We just talked about it on Friday. I'm like, dude, I'd be happy with 3 or 4 points, if not 4 points. And they chunked one away on Saturday.
Yeah, true. And you can see that, you're on the road. Detroit didn't have their the opener that they wanted. So, they're going to be going, and you talk about a trap game, maybe a little bit for sure. And they fell victim to it. And it almost sucks, because you got off to such a good start and got that 2-goal lead. It's natural to let off the pedal a little bit, but you got to know that they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at you, because their disaster start to the season is very apparent. They're going to do everything they can to rectify that. And they did. But, this Berube system, it takes effort and grit and intensity. I think people are going to start to get on it a little bit if they start losing about, dumping the puck too much and playing a boring style of hockey. But, having the puck in the O zone is is beneficial. Chasing it down and creating turnovers and wreaking havoc on their systems is pretty crucial. And I think they have the players to do that. It's just a matter of, again, buying in and having that accountability where everyone's on the same page to work hard to follow the system. It can be and will be effective, but it's going to look ugly if you half-ass it. And I think they fell victim to that on Saturday. But again, huge opportunity to rectify it right now. I think they are the better team. I do like the idea of Cowan being on that top line just to inject some juice into the boys. But again, I don't think like that's the long-term solution of where that kid's going to be. But good for him. I'm excited for him. And it brings a layer of excitement to the game for us watching at home. That's for sure.
Definitely. And I wanted to find this tweet from Friday. One of our loyal listeners sent it to me about team toughness. And while I look for it, okay, here it is. He's like, please talk about this on your podcast. Tampa, Douglas and Sabrin, Ottawa, McDermott and Kachuk, Boston, Janot, Kastelik, Zadorov, Florida, Gadjevich, Greer, Montreal, Jacky, Anderson, Columbus, Matthew Olivier, like he's, Delorier. And he sends question marks with the Leafs. How do you feel about the team toughness right now as a whole, Rosie?
Interesting. Yeah, like, is he saying he wants Revo back or what? Like,
that's what I was thinking from that tweet. Yes.
Like, he rattles off some teams with, some heavier players. And I love to see that just from a league standpoint, because this league was so pussified that it was hard to even friggin' watch, because
it's a good word.
Who wants to watch no-hit hockey and just pure skill, and it's boring. But I like that guys are playing a little bit heavier, but I think that's why I ask that Domi plays a little heavier and Benoit plays a little heavier and McCabe can be a little bit heavier. He's getting kind of old to play too heavy, but those guys are hard to come by. I mean, Dakota Joshua is supposed to be banging and crashing, right? I haven't seen him crank anybody, and has Boudreau told us he is not a good fighter. He was fairly clear about that. And you don't have to fight, but running around with a chip on your shoulder and hitting everything that moves, and if anyone has anything to say, you give them a little shot in the chest in an FU match after the whistle. Like, I would love to see that more. I like it when the team that I care about plays heavy like that, and to create more of an attitude that insulates the Matthewses and the Marners and stuff like that. No one's going to be able to dick with them, and your goaltenders as well. I wouldn't mind if they stepped it up a little bit as well. They're the heaviest team in the National Hockey League. I don't think they're the toughest, but I think they have the bodies and the personnel to play a heavier style. And obviously Craig Berube appreciates that kind of thing too. So yeah, I agree with the guy. I think they could bump up their meanness factor and their chip on their shoulder identity of like, F you, you're not coming in anywhere near us. We got line after line that's going to come. And again, they're not as heavy as the names you just rattled off, but I think there's more there.
We got to make shirts pussified. Maybe that's our slogan for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Pussified. Is that better than Now We Go, do you think?
Now You Go is pretty good, but it didn't really work last year. Hey, I'll go with anything. It was, and I'm not saying it is. I think it's going in the right direction, the league. It's I never thought you could get the heavy stuff out of the game just by definition of the game. It's like, why has it been so heavy, and like the fighting exists and the hitting and all that?
Yep.
It's such a fast game and a momentum driven game, and it's full contact. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, there's beer league games with fights, there's pond hockey games that turn into fights. It just doesn't happen with like flag football and slow pitch. It's just the nature of the game. So you're never going to get rid of it. I like that it's still there. And as that listener rattled off, there's a bunch of teams with some heavy players still that I like to see it. And yeah, as I mentioned, I'd like the Leafs to play a little bit heavier style too. I think they're capable of it.
Look, I mean, what wins out in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think a prime example was, remember how horny people were about the Montreal Canadiens last year going to the Stanley Cup playoffs, all this skill. They got bullied out of the rink, okay? Bullied out of the rink. And that happens so routinely. I think a lot of these teams still building their rosters for regular season success. I think the Maple Leafs have it figured out. I mean, they're trying to build a roster that maybe is not the strongest regular season team, but in the playoffs, they're a bitch to play against. They actually understand the mentality, having gone through the last 8 of the last 10 years with this team and what they were trying to build, where it's like, I look at the roster, I'm like, yeah, Joshua's not great in game 2, but game 3 of the playoffs might do something where it's like, crap, great addition. Benoit, like, you can go on and on with players on this team.
Well, that's the hope, right? Is we've had the high octane superstar teams, and we get smashed in the playoffs because you play a heavier style of game, you take away their time and space, and the
No
intensity
ice.
ramps
Yeah.
up to 11 or 12, and those guys kind of take a step back instead of a step forward. And just look at who's lifting the Stanley Cup at the end of every year. It's teams that have a heavy presence. The Boston Bruins have been notoriously heavy. The Tampa Bay Lightning have been, obviously right now the template is the Florida Panthers. Look at the back end of the Vegas Golden Knights when they won.
Yep.
It's something that works. Again, the nature of the game with the intensity being that high, guys with a set of balls end up coming through at the end of the day, and you got to be able to play heavy. It's hard to find those guys that are willing to play that heavy style of hockey, but are still good enough to play in the NHL these days. Like, the skill level is just off the charts, and it's a product of this super specialized hockey, one sport athletes having strength coaches and personal coaches and mental coaches at the age of 10. I see it right now with minor hockey. It's an obsessive thing, and the product of that is when the cream rises to the top, holy shit, is there some good hockey players coming out of it. But that's what they are, specialized in skill and their skills of playing hockey, where I don't think this generation breeds too many, heavy hitters and guys that are chomping at the bit to get intense and physical and scrapping and battling. So the guys that are building these teams are having trouble finding those guys. And when they do, it's like, I can't justify him putting on my roster because the skill level in the league is so high. So a healthy mix is obviously huge, but with the additions of the Nick Waws and Dakota Joshua's, and you have Benoit back there, and you have Tanev and McCabe, and you got Domi, who I think he can be more physical and more gritty. I think that this team can play that style of hockey if need be, and they need to, because the playoffs have been a bust every year, and hopefully these additions are what's going to be the difference maker to get them over the edge.
As mentioned, we're getting closer and closer to puck drop, a rare matinee affair here on Thanksgiving for the Maple Leafs. They host Detroit in the back end of the home and home. Don't forget as well, great little poll up here by producer Vic in the chat. Will you be watching After Dark today with Zach Phillips, even though it'll be light out? 78% a resounding yes, 22% no. That's coming up later on. Don't forget Zach's game preview right after this podcast as well here over at the Leafs Nation 401. So it's funny, like 2 weeks ago, we're talking about this new look fourth line. You got Scotty Lawton, you got Steven Lorentz, you got the kid, the 20-year-old Easton Cowan. Now down to 1/3 of those guys, Easton Cowan, and he's on the top line. Stevie Lorentz, as soon as he took that hit, I'm like, he got popped a bit. I just think it was the angle. You see it on your screen right now, but didn't look good, didn't return after that. I would think he's going to probably miss a couple games. I'm not playing doctor here on YouTube, but maybe a little head problem there.
Yeah, obviously got jolted. And it sucks because if he decided to be a pussy about it and let his feet get taken off the ground and fall limp on the ice and lay there like some of the chicken shits in this league, it would probably be a suspension. It would be headline news and stuff, but he's a heavy kid and he stays on his feet, and it's a nothing play. And unfortunately, that is a problem in the league right now, is selling it and laying there. And I've been hard on players before. I remember that freaking Bastion kid, I think he was on New Jersey. He actually DM'd me the clip, like, are you serious? I was like, shut up, buddy. But he got hit because his head was up his ass, and then he lays on the ice, and then he gets up to one knee, and the bench is like 8 feet away. And then he went, no, I don't think so. And then he laid back down, like could have put a fucking covers over top, laid back down. And then he was like, no, I'm kind of uncomfortable. Unclipped his helmet and took it off, and then laid down again and waited for the trainer. Like, I was losing my mind at the level of pussy that is. And then there's Stevie Lorentz staying on his feet when he gets a pop to the head too. And obviously he did take one because he's injured and he's out, and he left the game, didn't return. He's not playing today. So kind of a piss off, but at least you can be proud that your guys are staying on their feet and trying to battle through. But this day and age, they don't dick around with head stuff. He's going to make sure he's 100% healthy before coming back, which
very meaningful player. Yeah, no, I agree. I think a very meaningful player is Steven Lorentz. It's going to be unfortunate to see him out of this lineup, but it is the next man up approach. Easton Cowan, of course, coming up. I thought it was interesting, too, on Saturday. Like, Calle Jarnkrok scores again, but then I look at I was watching the game, like, where's Jarnkrok? He played .820, which was a team low in that game. So maybe Berube just wasn't inspired by his effort, which is interesting because then conversely, look at the opener, and he's taking shifts at the end with Matthews and Nyes.
I know. I was just like, we were just talking about how we're pretty sure Berube has a lot of confidence in
Yeah,
him,
I
and
know.
a game where guys go down, maybe just with the shakeup and Lorentz going down, or I
Yeah,
don't even
maybe.
know what it was, but as a coach, when guys go down and you're shorthanded, it's kind of hard to match the lines up and the lefties and the righties and get it done. And maybe he just
Mhm.
fell victim to circumstance by getting shuffled down. But you would think that would be an opportunity for Yarny to get in more minutes than that, especially the fact he's been on the board twice already in 2 games.
Yeah.
Kind of a head scratcher for sure, but maybe fell through the cracks with the shuffling. But again, doesn't really make sense. It is surprising to see his minutes played after the start that he's had.
Bottom line, just need a tighter effort from the Maple Leafs today. Very sloppy game on Saturday in Detroit. They're going to try to return serve. I thought the discipline wasn't there. Some tough penalty, like the Matthews one, the OEL
Yeah.
one, the Domi one. Just clean it up, tighten things up. I think you walk away with the victory this afternoon.
That's the plan. I would expect them to have a bounce back. It always sucks blowing a lead. It's an extra sting, and it stays with you for a while. And nobody around the room or on the airplane or the bus or the practice rink. No one's really jolly or happy or anything. It's always like, ooh, bad mood, bad mood. So everyone is wanting to rectify the bad mood around the rink after a loss like that. So I imagine they'll come out spinning pretty good. Again, I think they're better than the Detroit Red Wings, and I think that being at home, being comfortable and having something to prove, being a little pissed off, and also not wanting to get shown up by the 20-year-old who I'm sure will be buzzing, I think it all leads to a Maple Leafs win today.
A good chin on Steven Lorentz. Per David Alter, just talking to Craig Berube before the game. Steven Lorentz skated today, and there's a chance he could play tomorrow.
Oh,
Good to see.
baby.
Good to
Love it.
see.
I'm curious as to what the protocol is these days. I mean, in my day,
I
you
know.
took a concussion test, which is like, reaction stuff and memory stuff. And to be honest, I'd almost throw that stuff because if I did have a conky, I didn't want it to look that much different than my baseline one. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that's been upgraded in the years that have come after that, or what the protocol is. But it sounds like if you're feeling good, you're feeling good, and you tell the guys you're feeling good. Again, with concussions, there's not a machine you can go in that x-ray you and says yes concussion or no concussion. It's a feeling out process, and it's certainly not a perfect process, but nice to hear that he's skating, which they don't let you do if you're feeling shitty after getting hit in the head, first and foremost. So he must be feeling pretty good, and I don't know, game time decision or what, we'll find out, but it's nice to hear that it's not worse.
Yeah, it's a bizarre quirk in the schedule that we don't see frequently here in Toronto. Back-to-back home games. So they've got Detroit today, then Nashville pops into town tomorrow. By the way, confirmation, I had wondered about this, but Anthony Stolarz will start this game. And I think
No
tomorrow,
shit.
I don't think you're going back-to-back, a la what they did with Dustin Wolf in Calgary, because they didn't believe in their backups. I think it's Primo, it's Hildeby, it's somebody, but it's not Stolarz tomorrow. He's getting the call today. We think it's going to be UC Saros today for Nashville in Ottawa. So it could be a battle of the backups coming up tomorrow, but that's the right call to put Stolarz in today.
I think so. Yeah. We're not that familiar with Nashville, to be honest. It seems like don't see them very often, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even care if you. It would also make sense to me to rest him today and play him against
Yeah.
Nashville, like either or. But the bottom line is you can't play him back to back this early in the season, especially with
No.
with no Joseph Woll back there. So
Mm-hmm.
play one, not the other, obviously. And they've gone to try to rectify this situation quickly with Detroit and get the win tonight or this afternoon and set themselves up for success on the back to back with Nashville. So no problems with it from my end of things.
Yeah, like the Wall thing, man. Like we're at a point where he's going to miss at least, 10 games? Is that fair to say? We don't even know what's going on, but at least 10 games? 1/8 of the
Like if
season?
he came home today, he would still have to miss 7 games to
Well,
get in game
I
shape.
doubt
kind
he's
of thing.
skating. Like it sounds like his equipment's in the arena.
I know. My mind's starting to go to like,
Yeah.
mental things that are not in a row, which is nothing to dick around with. And
No.
if that is the case, I don't want to speculate, but I mean, that's the
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing that
tough.
doesn't get fixed overnight. And it's not the kind of thing that you can stay in shape during, even though I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he is. I
Yeah.
don't know when he's coming back. I don't know what he's going to look like. I don't know what the problem is, and that is part of the problem. Is you start to speculate, and your mind wanders off on these wild things of like, what if it's this, and what if it's that? And in respect for him and the player and the privacy, I don't want to do that
Yeah.
on air, but everybody's doing that. Where is Joseph Wall? Everyone is doing that, and the fact that there's absolutely nothing leaking out tells me that it is something like that that's very personal and private, and have no idea where he is or what he's doing. I wish him the best, but when you're just talking strictly Toronto Maple Leafs and you care about the team, you're going, well, holy shit! Like, how big of a disaster is this? Is it Hildeby and Stoli all year, or Primo and Stoli all year? Like, that doesn't put you in the best position for success, because one of the things we had to hang our hat on was our 1-2 punch with the goaltenders, probably the best in the league, or certainly right up there, and that's basically evaporated before the puck even drops on the season. Such a Leafy shitty thing, and
I know.
I hope that it's I don't know. At this point in time, there's not much you can hope that it's, oh, it turned out it was just this and he's fine and he's back and he's ready to rock. Like, I don't see that happening. So unfortunately, not a lot of positive things going on when you're starting to think long term about Joseph Wall.
Never a dull day when it comes to the Maple Leafs crease, that's for sure. It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. So the rematch, I'm going to go with the Maple Leafs Puckline first and foremost. And since this is NHL debut, Easton Cowan, anytime goal.
I like it. You stole my puck line thing. It's hard to find value. I usually don't bet on the Leafs like outcomes, because they're so tilted and everything else. But I'm looking at the players and stuff. Like Matthew Nye's point is like minus 160 or something like that. Screw that. I think they're gonna, even if it comes down to an empty netter or something, let's get on the puck line. I trust they'll rectify it. Stoley's in net. Injection of life and youth and energy from Easton Cowan. I'm mashing the puck line as well.
Man, I strolled into that game on Saturday, and, I saw the line for Willie Nylander to get over 2.5 shots on goal. This guy routinely gets 4 or 5, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. You know how many shots on goal Nylander had on Saturday? Fucking zero. Zero, man. It was wild. And today I'm seeing the number at minus 125, depending on the book. Like, that's when Nylander's playing his best. Like, He's got these flips he's putting on net right now that are getting tipped and goals are happening, which is good. But when he's at his best, he's shooting the puck, man. This guy's got a great shot. I don't know what the hell is going on. I just want to, maybe he just needed a good Thanksgiving with his family and YouTube, and we'll see Nylander at his best this afternoon. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, I think Willie just sometimes does things on Willie's schedule, and apparently the season's starting a little later for him. So hopefully it's real time here this afternoon, and we'll see the best of Willie Nylander, because when he's good, he is damn good. But it's almost like he knows it, and sometimes just falls back and relies on his talent a little bit too much. And I know it drives Berube crazy, but they do have that little relationship where it's like, oh, that's our Nylander, that's our Willie. And it's like, fuck, it shouldn't be though. But again, I think he's the type of player who will make up for it in a hurry. And hopefully it's this afternoon for this matinee.
Yeah, that's my call right now. I think the Leafs return serve, and I think much similar to we saw Detroit's big boys on Saturday. I think the story from this game will be the big boys for the Toronto Maple Leafs, led by Austin Matthews and William Nylander. And Mike Batson, I like this one in the chat. Cowan gets a Gordie Howe hat trick. Imagine.
Oh God, do those even happen anymore?
No, they don't. No.
That would be amazing. I had a couple of those in my career, not many, because it's hard for me to get 2 points in any league. But it would be awesome to see that, man. I'm really like, that's the biggest reason I'm excited for this game, is like, what is Cowboy going to do? And again, I don't expect him to do anything. If he doesn't do crazy stuff, it's not like, I just don't want to set him up for failure or for criticism or scrutiny unwarranted. I mean, that's what happens in this market that ruins guys. So in my mind, he was going to start the season on the fourth line and chip away and not have tons of expectations. And anytime he did kind of leap off the page to you, it's like, hey, what about that? There's a bonus, and hey, he's doing good, and isn't this nice? And he's getting better. And I think he's going to stick around a while and he makes the team better. But now it's just like, oh my God. So again, I don't think this is the long-term solution, him playing on that line, but kind of an FU to the rest of the guys. If you don't want to work, we'll put a kid on there that is. And I'm just excited to see if he's buzzing around and can create some chaos and maybe get on the score sheet or make some nice plays and show us what's possible with him and where his potential is.
Did you like the matinee games as a player?
I loved them. Everyone hated them, but I loved them.
What,
you can kind of
after
feel
the game.
I just hated fucking game day, man. Like you got the little bit anxious and it's just like as soon as Canada was done, I'm ready to rock and roll and no nerves are there or anything. But the whole day leading up, it's just on your mind, especially if you're going to scrap or something. And it's just like, it's the longest day ever, and it's the stupidest routine. Let's take a big 2-hour nap in the middle of the freaking day, and let's eat the same shitty freaking pasta. Like I just couldn't stand it. So the matinee games, get up, do a little stretch, go for a walk, grab your coffee, eat whatever the hell you want, go, and they're dropping the puck, and then you get out of there, and it's like, should we go for dinner and have some beers? It's not 10 o'clock at night. I love the matinees, dude.
Especially with the Blue Jays playing right after, but don't forget Nashville's in town tomorrow, so I don't know much you can floor it on a Monday night if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. Some housekeeping notes. We're out of here. I encourage all following this podcast to go check out Zach's game preview, which is up right now over at the Leafs Nation 401 here on the YouTube page. Don't forget, after the game, Zach will have After Dark, so make sure you keep it locked all afternoon long here over at the Leafs Nation. That's it for us today. Coming up tomorrow, Rosie, Carter Hutton, his first stop by this season since just leaving us and going off to daily face-off. So we'll get his early season thoughts here on the Buds.
Hutsy Bobatsy. I hope he has that sexy map in the background still. You can't get rid of that, baby. But yeah, I haven't seen Huts in a while, so that'll be great to talk to him and get his review on the game this afternoon and also his take on the goaltending situation. So looking forward to that. Tune in.
Forgot to tell you who I booked Wednesday? Skillsy coming on the podcast. Hal Gill.
Skill Rex, Hal Gill.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, did I have some evenings with him? That'll be fun. We haven't had him, have we?
I think year one we had Hal Gill. It's been a while.
Okay. It's vague memories of it. He's hilarious. Yeah, he's down doing his thing. So in Nashville, I believe. So good pickup, buddy. I haven't heard of that. It'll be fun to talk to him and get his take on brushing us up on those pesky Nashville Predators after their tilt with them. So good stuff.
And lastly, just need it from the Blue Jays today, folks. This that was tough in my world, losing your number one against your number 5. And Seattle dug deep. The big dumper gets the job done. And we'll see what the Jays have in store for game 2 this afternoon. Trey Savage on the hill. Logan Gilbert's an absolute stud. Looking forward. I'd probably take the under in that game. We're out of here at the Leafs Nation. 401, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. For producer Vic and Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews. We got clips. We got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.